this video we'll try to explain the spinal cord of the central nervous system. So in the previous videos we have gone through all the parts of brain, all the structures of the brain. So in this video we'll try to concentrate on the structure of the spinal cord, the structure, where it is present, okay, the different things which we can see when you see the internal structure of spinal cord and all those things. Okay, so basically coming to the origin of spinal cord, the spinal cord originates from the brainstem part, one of the brainstem part, that is the medulla oblongata. So from the medulla oblongata, according to some books, from the medulla oblongata, the spinal cord will start its journey and it passes through one of the opening of skull. So I'm just putting around here, so I should draw a skull, no need of skull. So here we have the skull all around it, so I'm not drawing the skull properly, so I'm just putting it around here. So assume this as a skull. So we have a small opening of the skull, we should say big, which is called as foramen magnum. So through this foramen magnum, the spinal cord will start its journey and comes all the way down till the lumbar region. Now you may get doubt up to which region of lumbar. I mean, we have several regions there. Which part of lumbar that spinal cord will continue? So to explain that point, we have to know that this spinal cord is protected by a backbone. We know that spinal cord is having a backbone, so it is having the protection. It is having a backbone. So now if you assume from here we have the vertebrae, which will make the vertebral column. So I'm just putting some example here. I can't try every vertebrae here, but I'm just putting some example. So here we are having vertebrae. Now this spinal cord is protected by a chain of bones, I can say, a series of bones which forms a column called as vertebral column. Okay, so the vertebral column goes almost till the ending part of our back. Okay, but I'm just telling up to here, the lumbar region. So we have series of bones called as vertebral column, and in this vertebral column, how many bones are there? We have 26 bones altogether. So in that, we have in the neck region, we have bones called as cervical bones. Then we have in the thorax region, the thoracic bones, the thoracic vertebrae, I should say. Then in the lumbar region, or you can say abdominal region, we have three things here. One is called as lumbar vertebrae, sacral vertebrae, and we have the coccygeal vertebrae. So all these will comprise the backbone. They'll all make the backbone. So we have cervical vertebrae of number 7, C1 to C7, and we have the thoracic vertebrae. So I have not written properly. And the thoracic vertebrae, which is from 12, it is, that is T1 to T12. Lumbar we have 5, L1 to L5. Next sacral we have 1 and coccygeal 1. So 5 plus 2, 7, 19, 26. So totally 26. Now till which part this spinal cord will continue means till the L1. So if you remember these things, that is T1, assume this is to T12. I've just said it. Okay. So assume this is T10, T11. So here we have T12 and here we'll have the L1. So spinal cord will continue up to the L1. Now the point is, will it stop there? No, it will not stop there. So we'll see up to which part it goes. We'll understand up to which part this spinal cord will continue. So I'll just put a small rough diagram. So here we have, for example, up to we have C7, So I will draw from C1 to C7. Okay, so I'm not writing it here. Then we have some T1 to T12. Then we have L1, L1 to L5. Then we have sacral. Then we have coccygeal. So spinal cord will come all the way from the foramen magnum through the foramen magnum into the vertebral column, and it continues up to L1. So the spinal cord will continue up to L1, and here it tapers. It becomes narrow. Okay. Now this is called as conus medullaris. Now here it is being narrowed. Now this is called as conus medullaris. Okay. So now the point is, around the spinal cord we have meninges also. So the meninges will also come down. Now these meninges will not stop at conus medullaris. They will continue till the coccygeal region. Okay, so that means technically the spinal cord is continuing only up to L1, but if you count their meninges also, it is going till the coccygeal region. Now what do you call this region? So this region, which is elongated because of the meninges extension, it is called as phylum terminale. That's the terminal part. That's what it's called as phylum terminale. Okay. Now these are spinal cord extends from the top part, from the brain till the L1, and then with the help of its meninges. Now if you observe the spinal cord, we also have two plexus. I mean, you all know spinal cord is a group of nerves. It is having two plexus. That means there are some swellings in nerve cord. That is, in the spinal cord we have some two swellings in the regions of C4 to T1. So from the fourth cervical vertebrae or the fourth cervical region, for example, I will put it here, that is from C4 to T1. So here we have some swelling because here we have some group of nerves coming out of spinal cord, more nerves coming out. So we have a plexus here, group of nerves from C4 to T1. So that C4 to T1 plexus, C4 to T1 plexus, it is called as brachial plexus, which gives all the nerves to shoulders and all those parts. Shoulders. So from here the nerves will come out, the group of nerves will come out, and they are spread to the shoulders and all the fingers and all those things. Okay. So here we can see one swelling of the spinal cord, which is called as brachial plexus. And here at the T12 to L1 region, sorry, T11 to T12 region, if I'm not wrong, T9 to T12. Okay, so from the T9 to T12, so T9 to T12 region, here also we have one more swelling. From T9 to T12 we have one more swelling of spinal cord, which is called as lumbar plexus. So we have two plexus in the spinal cord, two swellings we can say. One is called as brachial plexus, other one is called as lumbar plexus, which gives nerves to the, or which sends a tuft of nerves or a batch of nerves to the visceral organs, the intestinal parts, gastrointestinal parts. So these two plexus, they are swollen because we have more nerves to be coming out in that part. That's why spinal cord is somewhat swollen in these two regions. That is one from C4 to T1. So brachial plexus is from C4 to T1, that is fourth cervical to the first thoracic, and lumbar is from T9 to T12. That means the thoracic 9th vertebrae to the thoracic 12th vertebrae, and in that region we'll have the swelling of spinal cord. Now coming to the point, as I've said, we have backbones. Yes, the spinal cord is surrounded by the vertebral column. So we have this vertebrae. Vertebral column is actually made up of vertebrae. So we have a line of vertebrae around 26. I am not drawing all the 26 because that's may not be possible here. But why I am drawing this vertebrae means, in the center of this vertebrae we can see a canal. We can see a hollow portion which joins all the way from top to bottom. So we have a canal, right, in the center portion of this vertebrae. That canal is called as neural canal. So here you can see the hollow part of the vertebrae will form a long canal shaped structure. That long canal shaped structure is called as neural canal. So this part outside we can't see, but if you turn it we can see. So I have given you a split portion. Now this is called as what? Neural canal, and through this neural canal the spinal cord will come all the way down. So it is protected by the vertebrae around, like the skull of the brain. Okay, so this is the spinal cord. So these two are same. Okay, so now these is the external morphology. I mean that these are the parts which you can see externally when you don't cut the spinal cord, which we see when we generally observe. That is the external morphology of spinal cord, its position. In coming to shape, you all know spinal cord, not a magic there. Spinal cord is just cylindrical. It's long cylindrical structure. It's a long cylindrical structure tapering at the end. So at the end you can see the spinal cord becoming narrow. So tapering at the ends. Okay, right. Now main point to be remembered here for NEET. The spinal cord will extend only up to L1. From there the meninges of the spinal cord will go down and they will reach up to the coccygeal region, the last vertebrae. Okay, so that's the one point to remember. And we have two plexus, two group of nerves coming out at the brachial plexus and the lumbar plexus. Brachial plexus is between the C4 and T1, and lumbar is between T9 and T12. That's the lumbar plexus. Okay, that's the two main things, or the three main things we have to remember. Now, what or how the spinal cord looks when we cut it open. So when you cut open that spinal cord, how it looks like, we'll discuss that. We'll see the internal structure of the spinal cord. So when you these things are not necessary now, we are rubbing it off. So when you see the spinal cord, when you cut the spinal cord, so I have cut the spinal cord transversely. So I have made a transverse section of the spinal cord. Now as the spinal cord is cylindrical structure, we can see a big round here. So I have cut it open, right? So we can see round. Okay, now first of all we should understand the sides. Okay, so these are dorsal side of the body in the sagittal plane. When you take the sagittal plane, these are dorsal side of the body, dorsal side of spinal cord, and these are the ventral side of the body or the ventral side of spinal cord in the sagittal plane. Now in the longitudinal plane, in the transverse plane, this is called as posterior of spinal cord and this is called as anterior of spinal cord. And so now if you want to correlate between these two words, the posterior part of the spinal cord becomes the dorsal side, that is back. So this is back. I could say this is back and this is front. So for example, if I am standing like this, this is the anterior portion and my back will be the posterior portion. Okay, so why it is like that means the simple point, this is on the sagittal plane, this side is taken on the sagittal plane and these on the transverse plane. Okay, this front and back is a normal side. So now if you cut it, what you can see, is in the center you can see the central canal with all the ependymal cells, which we have discussed previously also for the transfer of CSF. So we can see the central canal and we can see a fissure, we can see a dorsal fissure and a ventral fissure traveling all along the spinal cord. So all the spinal cord, you will have this dorsal fissure and the ventral fissure. Okay, now then what we can see? We can see grey matter around this central canal. So what we can see is, we can see a H-shaped grey matter. I'll zoom it, don't worry. So you can see a H-shaped grey matter around this central canal, and we can also observe funiculus, the white matter. So this is grey matter. So I'm just putting some red dots or covering it with the red color. This is grey matter, and here, so I'll just put a blue dot. This is white matter. So we'll zoom it and we'll observe how it looks like in the normal fashion. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll rub this off. So I'll rub these sides and I'll write them for the main part. So now what we are trying to do, we are trying to have a TS of the spinal cord. So I'm just putting a long cylindrical structure. So we have put the transverse section of the spinal cord, and in general what I said, we can observe a central canal and we can see fissure, the separations, and we can say, as I said, that we can see a H-shaped gray matter all around this neural canal. Okay, so now if you try to zoom this out, so I'm not tilting it, I'm just drawing the scene. So this is spinal cord in the same direction. I'm not changing direction. I'm not changing the direction. Okay, so this becomes the dorsal. The same way this becomes the ventral. So these are dorsal and these are ventral. So these are the ventral for this diagram and these are dorsal for this diagram. So I'm not changing any shape here. I'm just taking it out and showing to you. Okay, in some diagrams we can see tilted portion, but I'm not making you confused there. So in the center we can see a central canal through which the CSF comes out, and the central canal is having a line of ependymal cells, the neuroglial cells with the ciliated ependymal cells, which will make the CSF flow through the central canal. And as we have discussed, we can see a fissure, the dorsal fissure, and we can see an ventral fissure. And what we said, around this central canal we can see a gray matter, which is of what shape? A H-shaped gray matter. So what we can observe is, we can observe a H-shaped gray matter with columns. So we can also observe columns here. So we can see H. For example, if I turn this around like this, you can see H shape. Right now you see different shape, but if I turn this around, you can see H shape. Okay. So dorsal side and ventral side. We can also call the dorsal as what? Posterior side in the transverse plane, and this becomes the anterior side. So if you want to have a common language, this is the back of our body, this is the front side of our body. So I have not done anything. What I have done, I have just zoomed it. So this is a normal spinal cord location, normal spinal cord position. It goes down like this. Okay, leaving that part. Now what you can see, when you observe the gray matter is in the center, and gray matter is having the columns. What do you call these columns? They are called as roots. So you call these things as dorsal roots because they are on the dorsal side. What can you call them? We can call them as dorsal roots or dorsal columns, which belongs to gray matter. Now this can be called as, yes, rightly guessed by you, that is ventral roots or ventral columns. Okay. Now in between we have the interneurons. In the gray matter we have interneurons. Those things will come in TNS, no worries. But the main point we discussed, dorsal roots will have all the sensory neurons. So we will have all the sensory neurons rushing in from the sensory organs of the body, like the eyes or the skin or other sense organs, nose, mouth, tongue, I should say, and all those things. Now this ventral roots will be having the motor neurons, the motor neuron ganglions. The motor neuron ganglions. You all know ganglions means group of cytons. So here we can see, around here we can see the ventral root ganglion, and here we can see the dorsal root ganglion. They'll all happen, but we are discussing spinal cord structure, we'll stay there. Okay, but the main thing, the dorsal roots will get all the dorsal nerves from the body, and ventral roots will relay the motor neurons of the body, or motor neurons to the body. That is the gray matter. That's about the gray matter. Now coming to white matter. Think of this. This is white matter. You can see white matter has been separated by these fissures. So these are ventral fissure, these are dorsal fissure. Now what they can become? They are called as funiculus. So we call them as funiculus. Now if you observe, because of these fissures, the funiculus has been divided into three portions: the posterior, the anterior, the laterals. So you can see here this is the anterior funiculus. This portion is anterior funiculus, and because of gray matter, what happened? This white matter has been separated into lateral funiculus (LF). Okay, and here we have the posterior funiculus. Now, what are these? These are all nerves coming down from the brain or going to the brain. You know, white matter is all the axons part, right? So the PNS is different, but this is the CNS. So this is CNS portion, the white matter of the CNS portion. Don't think of the ganglions present outside the CNS. That's different. That comes under PNS. So people generally say here we have nerves and those nerves are forming this part. No, this is actually the white matter which will have a relay from the top to bottom to the brain or to the body part. So you should know that white matter is also having some parts. So now white matter, what happened because of this gray matter and these fissures, what happened? It has been divided into 3 parts. So I'll write here. AF means what? Anterior funiculus. Anterior funiculus, which is present on which side? Dorsal side. I should say in the sagittal plane. It is on the dorsal side, and that too, to be simple, we can call it as back, the back side of your body, or the back side of the spinal cord. Now, what is the work of this thing? Because if you observe this part, the dorsal roots, they get all the sensory neurons. So the sensory neurons will be ascending. So this anterior funiculus will have the ascending neurons, only ascending neurons carrying sensory signals to brain. Carrying sensory signals to brain. So whatever the nerves coming to the spinal cord, all the sensory neurons will make that tuft, that white matter, and the white matter will go up, ascending neurons. Okay. Now the issue is with these two. What are the LF and PF? So what is meant by LF? So again I'll write here only. I'll wrap this part and I'll write. So what is meant by LF now? LF means lateral funiculus. PF means posterior funiculus. So we have a lateral funiculus on the 2 sides, lateral funiculus, and this single part is called as posterior funiculus. Okay, lateral funiculus and the posterior funiculus. Now what are these things? These lateral and posterior, they have both ascending and descending neurons. So they have the tuft of nerve fibers, you all know, like in the cerebral aqueducts, like in the cerebral peduncles or the cerebellar peduncles, the nerves will form a batch, tuft. So here also the white matter is forming a tuft. So tuft is going up and down. Here it goes only up, only ascending, but here the tufts are both ascending and descending. So we have ascending and descending tufts of neurons. Descending tufts of neurons which carry both sensory signals to the brain, I should say sensory signals to the brain, and motor from the brain to the body parts. So here they are going to brain and coming down back to the body parts. Now these two will be two-way work, but the anterior funiculus will have only the ascending work. Now this is only the transmitting part, but the main point is spinal cord can itself act in involuntary actions. Now whatever we have discussed is just the part, and these tufts will go up and down. That's what they will carry signals from the brain and coming down. That's not the issue. That's good. That is normal instances. But for example, if you want to do some reflex actions, again the nerves coming from this spinal cord will work. That comes under PNS. We'll discuss that PNS. We have this sympathetic and parasympathetic parts. So spinal cord not only carries signals like this, it not only carries for the brain, it also has its own functions, and mainly, to be remembered, it acts in the involuntary actions of the body. Involuntary actions of the body. Reflex actions. So we can also say the reflex actions. Now the main point, these reflex actions are also coordinated by the some parts of brain. If you remember the diencephalon, the medulla oblongata, they have their own reflex activities coming down midbrain. If you see, I said the vision reflexes or the auditory reflexes in the midbrain, if you remember, superior colliculi, inferior colliculi. So we have some connections from the top to bottom. but it is mainly coordinated by the spinal cord. Which one? The reflex actions. But remaining signals will go up and down with this funniculus, and the dorsal roots will bring all the neurons in. The ventral roots will send out all the neurons. That's true. But outside this have the main part. That is the PNS part, the peripheral nervous system part, where we have formation of several autonomous ganglions. We have formation of the presynaptic, postsynaptic ganglions. We have different things to be explained, because nerve cord itself is very simple structure. Nerve cord within itself is very simple structure, but spinal cord. Spinal cord within itself is a very simple structure, but spinal cord, when you discuss its surroundings, when you discuss its around areas, that's the main problem. That's the main area where we have several functions to be discussed. So for now, we'll just make it clear up to this part, and I hope you got some idea. And there is Mohan Krishna signing off.